guys, what's up? I hope you're doing amazing. Welcome back to Spooks with Ams. Today I have such a treat. You're going to love this story, but it is a long one. So guys, buckle up and enjoy the ride. Today I'm going to be reading a story from a Redditor, and I had direct permission from him to read his story. So I will be linking his link to his Reddit down below where you guys could read the story if you'd like, or anything else that he creates. He is amazing. All right guys, enjoy. I don't know what to say. I've been sitting here at my computer just staring at the monitor since I woke up back at my house. I spent forever mulling over what just had happened. Was it a dream? It was, and it wasn't that. I don't think it was that. As I sat, the memories came back and became stronger. That's not supposed to happen with dreams. There was a simple solution to all of this, but I was too terrified to use it. I was too terrified to find out if my nightmare was real, but eventually I did. And oh crap, it was still there. I checked my arm. The burns were still there. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, I gotta write this down. Maybe somebody will see it. So there I was, on my couch, downing a beer and a joint and thinking about her, my ex. God, that feels so hard to say. I had just gotten used to calling her my girlfriend, but then that had to go and get all serious to me. Nathan, she'd say, I think we should see other people. What a... Just like that, she was gone. I was alone with my booze and my thoughts. So anyway, earlier tonight, I was drowning my thoughts on my couch with a hard bottle of whiskey, and I thought, I can't keep doing this. I gotta get out of the house. It reminds me of her. Smells too much like her. Every day, it seems to smell a little bit more like her. So I decided to find something to entertain myself with. I started browsing my computer looking for something, anything. Hell House. It appeared in a pop-up ad, of course, right? I normally don't bother with those, but I was desperate. I clicked. Wish I hadn't. But I think it would have found me anyway. It was a haunted house, it said. Weird. It wasn't anywhere near Halloween. 9 circles of torment, it told me. Max already put me through many more than that. Poor guy. Told me the address just a couple of blocks away near a park. I could walk there, wouldn't have to drive there in my inebriated state. Good for you. Good. Would draw too much attention. So I decided, screw it, I'm bored and lonely, let's go. Why'd I do that? So I walked there. It was a nice night. Should have just stayed outdoors. Good for a walk in the park or something. But there was a house. Hell House, it read. But there, it read on a banner with big orange letters. Sorry, you guys. Spooky. The building was tiny, about the size of a garage, shaped like a perfect circle. I had no idea they were going to get 9 circles of torment in this tiny thing, but whatever. I'll give them the chance. I walked to the door. Emblazoned on it was the number 1 in gold lettering. There was also a piece of paper taped to it. It read, before you lies 9 rooms. Each would torment you and frighten you in ways you never thought possible. Each room will make you suffer for your sins. Once you enter, you may turn around. You may not turn around. Abandon all hope, ye who enter. Okay guys, we're gonna pause this right here. So I'm just gonna say right now, this part of the story, I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, how insane would that be to actually have something like that happen to you in real life? Obviously, this is an ARG, but I am just saying right now, that is insane. I would literally legit just run away. I would run away. I wouldn't even go in. No way. No way. Okay, back. That made me chuckle. They were really going all out on the hell theme. I pulled open the door. The first thing I noticed was that the lobby took up the entirety of the building. Huh. The second thought I had was, crap, there are so many people here. I counted probably 20 souls loitering around the building. In the center of the room there was a desk. Above the desk was a pay here sign. Manning the desk was a man dressed in a black robe, with a scythe and a hood. I wouldn't even approach him. What? Oddly, there was no line leading up to the desk. So I had no idea what all those people were loitering around for. I approached a pair of them, intending to ask what was going on. Despite the room being perfectly lit, they seemed to stand in shadow. When I got closer, I realized that they were inaudibly, I can't say that word, you guys, inaudibly whispering to each other. That was kind of weird. Looking around, I realized all the figures had this sort of shadow cover, and all were whispering, either to another figure or no one at all. I wrote it off as a neat little scenery detail and approached the desk. I couldn't see the eyes of the desk man underneath his robe, but I could feel them boring into me. Ooh. How much for the house? I asked. The figure paused for a moment, and they responded, $1. Good deal, but whatever the heck it is. I handed him $1. He slowly reached out his hand, grabbed the bill, then pulled it back into the depths of his robe. He extended his hands out. Behind him, for the first time, I noticed a door on the side of the wall. Weird, I haven't seen any other doors of the entrance. The desk man beckoned at the door. Welcome to Hell House, sinner. The last line was directed to me. Jesus. Somebody really enjoyed their job a bit too much. I slowly approached the door. It was a rusty gray shade of metal with the gold number 2 imprinted on it. So apparently the lobby counted as the first room. Cautiously, I swung the handle open and stepped inside. The door swung shut behind me. See, that would be it for me. I'd be like, no, get me the heck out of here. The last thing I noticed was that every figure in the lobby had turned to directly face me. Ooh. I realized how small this building was going to fit 9 circles of torment, or whatever. The door led into a set of stairs which spiraled down into the earth. Weird design for a haunted house, right? By this point, I was too curious to do anything else, so I headed downwards. It went down for way longer than anticipated. 10 stories of stairs at least. Oh no. I was just contemplating turning around when I noticed the first shadows on the wall. I don't think shadows were the right thing. The things in the lobby were shadows. These were silhouettes, I guess. Silhouettes of people of all different shapes and sizes and all kinds of positions lined the walls on both sides. I had no idea there were no projectors I could see. As I went downstairs, the silhouettes became more and more defined. Also, I noticed every single one of them was female. Ooh. As I descended, I also began to notice a light breeze. I figured it was designed for ventilation this far down, but I saw no shafts it could be coming from. But like the productions, I shook it off. One particular silhouette caught my attention. It was located on the wall at almost exact eye level, begging for me to notice it. The position the figure was in, I also found interesting. It was like one of those neon silhouettes of women you see outside of a club, we'll call it, kids, or what you would get if you cut out the image on a explicit magazine that I can't mention the name of, but you could probably think of what it is if you really think. The woman was sitting down, one leg splayed in front of her, one leg pushed against her body. Head arched back seductively. I found myself fixated on it. But not because I felt aroused, but because the figure looked familiar. I don't know how long I stood there staring before I came to a startling realization that the silhouette was my ex. No, it can't be it. No, I came here to get away from my memories of my ex, not to be reminded of her. It had to just be my imagination, I thought. I've been fixated on her for days. It just looks uncanny like her. A coincidence, that's it. I don't really believe myself, but I forced myself to move on anyways. I continued to move downwards. The silhouettes continued to dot the walls. All female, I noticed several more that looked like my ex, all splayed out in erotic positions. All in my head. It's all in my head. The breeze picked up as well. It went from a nice draft to what felt like standing directly in front of a powerful fan. I felt myself moving to aim myself to avoid being pushed down to the side. Just as the air was beginning to sting my skin, I saw the end of the hallway with a closed door. Emblemized on it was the number 3. I found it hard to open in the strong wind, but eventually I managed to force it open and stepped inside. The door swung shut behind me. Immediately I was blasted by a jet of cold water. I shook the water out of my eyes and looked up. The ceiling was lined with a sprinkler system which was going off. Funny, I hadn't noticed any of those before in the previous rooms. But maybe I just wasn't looking. I guess there was a fire down here somewhere. I was multiple stories underground. I should probably get upstairs as soon as possible. Yeah, you should have done that like at the beginning, but anyway. But it locked behind me. Of course the door locked behind you. Of course it did. I pounced on it for I pounded on it for several minutes, shouting, hoping there was a security camera or a guard there to help me get out, but there was not. Of course there wasn't. So I just gave up hope and decided to continue down. This room was the same as the previous one, with the same stone staircase winding downwards into the earth, except now it was drenched in water, as was I. As I ran down as quickly as I could without slipping, I noticed there were more silhouettes on the side of the wall. But now, instead of erotic women, they were all morbidly obese people, all spayed on the ground in states of exhaustion. Even as I raced through the sprinkler as fast as possible, I couldn't help but wonder what the heck kind of a haunted house was this. Thankfully, this hallway wasn't nearly as long as the previous one, and I soon found myself at a door with the number 4 emblazoned on it. I've been saying that word wrong, guys. It's emblazoned, not emblemized. I'm sorry. Now, thoroughly drenched to the bone, I threw open the door and stepped inside. Somehow, the next room was even weirder than the sprinklers. The sprinklers were thankfully gone, but now there was a massive boulder blocking nearly the entire hallway. See, so when I first read this, I was thinking that, oh great, now the boulder's gonna like chase him and he has to stop from being crushed. But it's not that at all. What the heck? I tried the door behind me again, but surprisingly, it was also locked. So now I was truly trapped. What the heck is this place? When I studied the boulder further, I realized the floor had changed. The downward slope continued, but now instead of stairs, it was a ramp. I also noticed the boulder was on a track down the center of the hallway. I shoved it gently. It moved a few feet. I shoved it again and moved a few more feet. I barely even had to put in any muscle. I began walking down the hallway, pushing the boulder in front of me. There were no more silhouettes on the walls this time, but I noticed that as I descended, the temperature got hotter and hotter and hotter. That was weird, considering I had to be 20 stories below underground now. Rolling the boulder was pretty mountainous, so my thoughts turned to what I had seen so far. What kind of a haunted house was this? Why was there a sprinkler system upstairs going off when so far I hadn't seen any fire? And what were these silhouettes doing on the wall, and why did they all look and remind me of her? The hallway was pretty short, but by the end of it, I was sweating and my clothes had almost entirely dried. The heat had increased to where it felt like I was standing underneath a heat lamp. Ooh! The hallway leveled out and widened, and the track pushed the boulder off to the side, leaving the path to the next room open. There was a door with the number 5 on it. I was just about to grab the knob when I heard it again. The whispering. Just like the lobby. I had completely forgotten about it, but now it all came rushing back to me. I felt a twang of apprehension. But what else could I do? I had to keep moving. I opened the door. The first thing I heard were the screams. Oh, the screams of pure hatred and anger. I heard the door slam right behind me as my eyes attempted to comprehend what I was seeing. Guys, I'm going to be shortening this part because this is kind of brutal. Essentially, he walked into this room and there were tons of people just brutally massacring each other. They were just killing each other. It was brutal, very, very detailed. I won't be reading it, but you get the gist. They were just fighting each other to the death, essentially. He was able to see the door, and as soon as he was about to run to go to it, and he almost jerked it open, someone noticed him and said, "He's escaping! Get him!" The voice was full of more malice and hatred that I have ever heard. Instantly, I felt the room shift their attention towards me. Guys, could you imagine that? That is terrifying. With screams of utterly insanity, 1,000 bloodied bodies charged after me. I ran as fast as I possibly could, hurling towards the door. The gold number 6 staring back at me, taunting me, telling me I would never make it. But he made it, so it's all good. As I felt the hands grab the back of my shirt as I reached the door, I grabbed the doorknob and threw open the door. I fought with the horde, trying desperately to push the door closed. After several minutes, I was able to get in safely. I heard them try the knob behind me, but it was now locked. Oh, well, thank God. I heard them give up, and then the screams faded into the distance as they began tearing into each other again. What was that? I heard something coming from behind me when I was just sitting here typing this. I'm not sure what exactly it was, but it sounded... There it was. Oh, crap. The whispering was back again. Oh crap, the smell is getting stronger, coming from the basement. Oh God. It's coming towards me. I can hear it shuffling down below, creeping up the stairs. I've got to get out of here. I am not safe. It's coming for me. Oh crap. I'll try and finish my post tomorrow if I can, but I've got to run. Oh God, it's getting closer. The whispers are getting louder. I need to run. I need to get out of here. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Not anymore. Not ever again. The whispering keeps following me. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Let them swallow me. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I heard the screams the moment I shut the door in room 6. Those screams that weren't screams of anger like the previous room. They were screams of pure anguish, so much torment, so much pain. I spent several moments leaning against the door, covering my eyes, catching my breath. Slowly, I turned to face the room in front of me. Fire was everywhere. It torched the ground, and the people were buried in it. People were buried everywhere. Some up to their chests, others up to their heads. Some were buried upside down with only their feet sticking out. All were on fire. You know, with the whole sticking the feet out, that reminds me of As Above, So Below, where the guy gets caught. Oh, that is so freaky. Oh my gosh, I hate it. I just started walking. The previous room had already began to numb me. I must have walked for 5 minutes through the field of burning, screaming bodies before I saw her, my ex. There were no doubt about it. It was my ex, buried up to her chest and engulfed in flames. Unlike everyone else in the room, though, she was silent and her eyes were closed. I just stopped, silent. Despite her charred skin, she looked gorgeous. Like the many nights she lay asleep by my side, it brought me some level of comfort and dulled the screams all around me. I moved a little closer. Suddenly, her eyes opened. "Traitor!" The scream echoed from her lips 1,000 times louder and more bitter than anything a normal human voice could create. I covered my ears and screamed alongside her. "Traitor! Traitor! Traitor!" She screamed over and over and over and over again. And it tore through me every time. Then she reached out for me with her arms covered in fire. She burnt me as her hands touched my arms. I screamed in pain and terror and guilt. I tore myself away from her and I ran. "Traitor! Traitor! Traitor!" she screamed. They all screamed in horrific unison as other people started to join her. Burning arms reached for me. They grabbed at me. I raced past all of them. I saw the golden 7 emblem zoned on the door in front of me, and I just ran until I reached the door, pulled it open, I jumped into the next room. The screams were cut off as the door closed behind me. The smell is much worse than it was yesterday. I felt it approaching me when I ran away last night, and I wandered all around all night and all day before finally returning to finish my story. I just don't care anymore. Earlier today, I bought a tool that will help me calm my tortured mind when it all comes for me. I don't care anymore, but the smell is so bad. It still emanates from the basement, 10 times stronger than it was last night. But now every spot in my house is infested with it, including my computer desk, as if the smell sat on my chair and permeated it, which I suspect it did. The whispers are constant presence now. They just grew louder in response. I can't take this much longer. I don't think I'll have to. That's why I have my tool. I hear sirens in the distance. They'll know soon enough. It'll be over soon enough. Room 7 was blissfully silent compared to the previous rooms. The only thing I heard was a faint whispering and the chirping of crickets. It took my eyes a few seconds to adjust to the darkness. I was still far underground. Pitch black sky confirmed that to me. But spread out in front of me was a massive forest full of large and dark trees. The faint whispering traveled between them as if the trees were whispering to each other, which I suspect they were. I walked out into the forest. As the trees overtook me, the crickets actually died away, and I was left with the only whispering. One particular tree caught my attention, and I approached it. A face grew out of the trunk covered in bark. It opened its black mouth and whispered a single word, just the chorus of whispers around me. Coward. The tree whispered, coward. The face retreated back into the tree. I moved on. The forest went on for miles. I walked for what seemed like hours. Maybe it was only seconds. It didn't matter. Nothing matters. Not anymore. Around me, each tree grew a face that whispered to me as I passed. Always the same, coward, coward. Finally, the 8th door appeared in front of me. The moment I touched the doorknob, the whispering stopped. I opened the door, a black void spread out in front of me. I hesitantly stepped through, and the door shut behind me. I stood for a moment in complete darkness before a single candle light flickered into existence. I yelped when I saw what it revealed, a face, a solitary face, with its eyes and mouth shown shut. The light revealed the face was attached to a body, but the head was twisted backwards. The face faced me. Body was turned the opposite direction. More candle lights appeared, each revealing a new figure, all with their eyes twisted backwards and the eyes shown, with the eyes and mouth sewn shut. Thousands upon thousands of figures appeared, still standing solitary in a battle formation, each face twisted around to face me. I heard the same whispering as before, but now it was muffled, the whisper struggling to get through the sewn shut mouths of the figures. As I moved through the crowd, the whispering became louder, the figures trying harder and harder to get through their mouths. A hand reached out and grabbed me. I yelped, both in fright and pain, as it grabbed directly on the burns of my arms. I turned. The figure that grabbed me was my ex again. She tried to tell me something, her lips pulsating with the effort, but she couldn't get through the stitches. Her other hand grabbed me. Then more hands from other figures joined in, swarming me. I fought them all off and started running, pushing through the sea of hands and silent figures. One of them tripped me. I landed hard on the ground. I decided at this point I didn't care anymore. The figures can do whatever they want to me. I don't care. I just lay on the ground and buried my head in my hands. I felt the figures grab me. They picked me up and began to carry me. They carried me to door 9. I hear the things staring down in the basement. The smell is getting stronger. The whispering is getting louder. The sirens, they're getting louder. I glance backwards to the bed behind my desk. There's the tool. There's the gun. I'm tempted to reach for it. I want to reach for it, but not yet. I need to finish before it comes for me. I lay in dead silence, in complete blackness for what felt like an eternity. It probably was an eternity. Time doesn't seem to matter anymore. Nothing matters anymore. My fate is so sealed, no matter what I do. So eventually, after an eternity and another one, I got up. Room 9 was so big. The blackness above me was as large as the sky and just as far above as well. God, I missed the sky. My hands were cold. I looked down. I was standing on an endless lake of ice. It glowed a soft blue, despite no life source above it. It was perfectly dense, stretching downwards into infinity. There were figures buried in it. They were silent, but they moved with me every time that I moved, getting closer and closer to the ice that divided me between them. The closer I got, the louder the thudding became that I was hearing. More and more figures below the ice became my ex as well. Wait, eventually, until every single figure without failure was here. I began to feel the thumping vibrate through the ice into my body. The figures, always my ex, began to stir. Their limbs began to slowly move up and down, then the bodies began to float around. The thumping was overpowering now. Each thump felt like an earthquake. I heard screaming now. Only one scream in the most horrific and unimaginable pain. I knew in the moment I heard it. It was my scream. I saw a massive figure in the distance. I saw it stretched up into the cavern ceiling miles and miles above me. It had a pair of massive leathery wings beating against the ice, causing the thumping I was feeling. I walked steadily towards it. The figures of my ex below the ice were now swimming in a liquid ocean, just below the solid ice. They swarmed up to just below me, following my footsteps. I walked a little closer to the giant beating against the ice, and the full horror of the scene was revealed to me. The figure was my ex, adorned in a pair of massive wings. She cried tears of blood, and she bit down over and over again on a much smaller figure in her mouth. That figure was me. She cried and sobbed and beat her wings and her teeth down upon me. I collapsed onto the ice. The figure of me and the maw of the beast became me. I felt the teeth tearing into me, ripping me to shreds. The agony was indescribable. I felt the figures beneath the ice finally break through it. They grabbed at me, dragged me down into the dark depths of the infinite lake of darkness. I was torn apart and drowned simultaneously. I drifted into a haze of torment and I woke up. I was in my own living room, in my own house. For just a moment I dared to believe that it had all just been a dream. It had all just been a horrific dream after the horrific act I had just committed. But then I saw the burns upon my arms, and my own future became abundantly clear to me. The sirens are at my door now. I hear the police pounding on it, breaking it down. I hear the smell, the figure, the corpse of my ex in the basement came to join me. The whispering became screams of torment and overpowers me. I had seen hell. I have seen my own infinite. For the acts I have done, I can't say the word that it said after, guys. I will share my story, hope someone will see it. Then I will take my tool, take my gun, and join my ex down below in the 9 circles of infinite torment and unimaginable agony. Absolutely wow. What an incredible story. I was so stoked when I first read that. I was like, yeah, I have to read this for YouTube. I have to. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really hope that you were able to stay interested and watch the whole video, because what a treat that story was. But until next time, you guys, bye!